rather than from within each of us. You know, I, like many others, started out with an interest in magic. I bought my first tarot deck when I was 15, and then shortly after that got rune stones. But after I grew and evolved, the message became clear that I should put those things aside because the power and the connection was within me, not outside of me in objects or symbols. In Luke 27:21, Jesus said, "The kingdom of God is within you." Can't be any clearer than that. The kingdom of God is within you. There is nothing outside of us. There is only God everywhere. There is nowhere that God is not. So throughout this series, we're being invited to see which of these paths we resonate with. Could be a few, it could be them all, it could be none. We're just inviting you to be open and see if any of this speaks to you, if it strikes a chord in you, if you recognize it or resonate with any of it. So today we're moving on to path 4, which is the way of the heart, bringing heaven and earth, bridging heaven and earth. And I'd like to start with a story that you might already be familiar with. I've heard it. Actually, I heard it the first time at my ordination, my first ordination in 1988. And since then, I've heard it, the same content, the settings and the details might be a little different, but the content is the same. So here we go. Out in the countryside, there was a monastery that wasn't doing all that well. There were no new postulants entering. The remaining monks were crabby and always complaining about one another. The abbot was concerned that the monastery would close, so he prayed for guidance. One day he got the idea to visit his old friend, the rabbi, and he shared his feelings about the troubled monastery and the despondent monks. The two sat sipping tea while the rabbi gave his friend a puzzled look and said, "But don't you realize that one of you is the Messiah?" The abbot's eyes grew round and he said, "What? One of us the Messiah? We are plain and simple men. How could that possibly be?" The rabbi smiled and said, "Trust me, my dear friend. God works in mysterious ways." All the way back to the monastery, the abbot turned over the thought in his mind. One of us the Messiah? Who on earth could it possibly be? Surely not Brother Paul, the messy cook. But why not? Doesn't God delight in nourishing his children? Oh, absolutely not Brother Raymond, because he's a silly joker, always acting like a fool. But didn't Jesus say that we must become again like little children to enter the kingdom of heaven? And what about Brother Michael, the gardener, so silent and taciturn? But maybe he isn't taciturn after all, just caught up in an inner communion. Doesn't he commune with the followers of animals like St. Francis, the very patron saint of their order? The abbot called all the monks together and announced that he had shocking news. One of them was the Messiah. The news jolted everyone, and they began to regard each other with a new respect. Every word and action was interpreted as a gift from God. An abundance of love poured forth from the monks through their hearts and eyes and nourished everything they looked upon. The gardens grew more beautiful and the food more delicious. People began to show up again for Sunday service. And soon young men began to apply for the admission to the order. To see God in each other, that's what changed them. And this is what we're called to do, to see everyone and everything as an expression of God. This is the second unity principle, which Franny just repeated, and I'm going to repeat it once again. Our essence is of God. Therefore, we are inherently good. This God essence was fully expressed as Jesus. Now we're talking about the awakened Jesus, the Christ, which we all are. Our essence is of God. A reporter once asked Mother Teresa what was the purpose of human life, and she responded, just like a path for a mystic. She said, to give and receive love. In her book, No Greater Love, she says, what is my spiritual life? A love union with Jesus in which the divine and the human give themselves completely to one another. So that's the merging, the divine and the human. It's acknowledging that even though we are in human form, we are divine. We've never left home. We are one with our Creator. Now, when Mother Teresa serves others, she sees the divine in them. In her eyes, she's serving Jesus. She sees the divine, the Christ in each and every person. But like all of us, in order to do that, she must see the divine and acknowledge that divinity within herself. That's how she bridges the gap. There is no separation. She sees Christ in each of them. The first Parliament of World Religions was held in Chicago in 1893. Swami Vivekananda was the first Hindu to ever address the American public. But his lectures shocked the fundamentalists and they called it blasphemy. Why? Because he taught that God dwells within each person as their essential self. Now that's self with a capital S. And this is what unity teaches. That communion in God with God is an inner search, not an outer search. That there is only one, and we are all the Christ. The self with a capital S is like a sun, the sun that shines within, but is hidden by clouds of doubt, fear, guilt, shame, and confusion. The clouds are kept there by our ego, our false self. This false self imagines itself unworthy and separate from God and others. Our job is to dismantle the ego, parting the clouds so that our true self, the self with a capital S, our inner divinity, can shine through, and we can recognize that the divine essence is within us and each one of us. Now, the Catholic German mystic Meister Eckhart said, he said this perfectly when he wrote, God is not found in the soul by adding anything, but by a process of subtraction. When we subtract all that is false, all those beliefs, those old beliefs that we have sinned and we're separate and God can't possibly love us because we're bad. When we subtract all that falseness, only our essence, our divinity remains, because that is truly all that we are. There's an old Hasidic story about Rabbi Goldstein who dies and goes to heaven. While reviewing his life, he explains to God that he tried to be as wise as Solomon, as steadfast as David, and as brave as Moses. This is all well and good, God replied, but why didn't you just try to be yourself? I love that. What is the self? Each of us is a divine expression of God expressing as us. And each is an expression of the whole. Now, I didn't say a part of the whole because that implies there's more than one. I said of the whole, because there is only God, nothing else. And if there is nothing else, how could we not be of the whole? So this is where forgiveness comes in. We need to forgive ourselves for thinking that we could ever be separate from God, ever be separate from all humanity. In forgiving ourselves, we make the journey from guilt for what we think we have done to the celebration of the awareness of who we really are. This is the transformation of the heart. And this comes through reflecting on the results of our mistakes, understanding how ignorance or woundedness creates those actions, and doing the necessary healing so that we remain in the awareness of our divine self. Forgiveness sets us free. Holding on to resentments keep us trapped, whether those resentments are against ourselves or others. Now, the Buddha compared resentment to a hot coal that we pick up with the intent of throwing it at someone else. But we're burned. When we pick up that hot coal, we are burned. To forgive is to put that coal down. Jesus instructs us to turn the other cheek. But most of us need to go through a process of moving from anger and grief over injuries before we can develop compassion for the woundedness in ourselves or others. Now, we all have wounds. You know, it's part of being human in a physical body. So to pretend to forgive is like spraying cologne on garbage. Soon the stench will rise again. We have to be gentle with ourselves and allow ourselves to take time, all the time we need to go through the process and then truly forgive so that we are freed. So we realize our oneness through forgiveness, forgiveness of ourselves and others. When we do that, we truly do see the divinity in ourselves and in all living things, because then there's nothing holding us back, nothing getting in the way of that sunlight of truth that is us. Now, just as there are 7 paths and there are 7 suggestions for each path, here are the 7 suggestions for the path 4, the way of the heart, bridging heaven and earth. The first one is practice loving kindness meditations. And we do that by sending blessings to ourselves first, then our loved ones, and then those we are in conflict with, and then finally to all of humanity. And we're going to do that today for our meditation. So that'll be happening in a few minutes. The second is to practice self-forgiveness. Each night before going to sleep, think about the day. Did you think, say, or do anything for which you might have regrets? What contributed to that behavior? What was underneath that thought, word, or action? Because that's going to tell you, that's going to give you the awareness of what needs to be healed, what needs to be worked on. Take time to uncover what the motivation behind it was. Express gratitude for this new awareness, and then forgive yourself completely, not partially, completely. The third is to forgive others. And again, as you're reviewing your day, notice if there's any resentment brewing. And if there is, what is it you're feeling resentful about? Is it a person, a situation? If it's another person, think about whether or not their action was intentional or not. Begin the process by letting it go. Pray for the highest good of the other person, or pray for this situation to be resolved for the highest and good of all those involved. One of the things I first learned in a 12-step program back in the 70s was that if you want peace, or if you're angry with someone, pray for them. And that's what this is. Because when we pray, we're releasing the attachment and we're letting spirit do the rest. The fourth is see God or the divine in other people. Now, the Sanskrit word namaste is generally said while bowing with hands in a prayer pose. This is a salute to the God within the other person and a recognition of the God within ourselves. This greeting extends the idea that your God self and the God self of the other person are one. Again, there is no separation. We are one with God in all things. In unity, we say, I behold the Christ that is you. That's basically saying, we behold the divinity that is you. However you do it, recognize the divinity in all living things. The fifth is to practice devotion. Now, devotion means different things to different people. What aspect of God are you drawn to? Is it Jesus, Mary, Buddha, Kuan Yin? God is earth or sky? Devotion comes in various forms. You know, for Catholic, and I was raised Catholic, it was saying the rosary in devotion to Mary. Now, Hindus and Buddhists also use prayer beads. For me personally, as I grew, it was going into nature and meditating next to a waterfall, or climbing to the top of a mountain and reveling in nature. Remember to do whatever it is that you resonate with, whatever connects you to that divinity within you. 6 is maintain an active prayer life. As many of you know, I'm part of the interfaith group, the Flemington Area Faith Leaders Association. And at one of our interfaith meetings, one of the leaders of another system said to me, when he was referring to unity, he said, you do prayer on steroids. And that's because prayer is the founding centerpiece of unity. The healing power of affirmative prayer started in the 1880s when Charles and Myrtle Fillmore each experienced physical healing from their prayers and their faith. In 1889, Myrtle started a gathering and they prayed. They prayed every night. And within a year, they created the Society for Silent Help, which became Silent Unity in 1890. There has been 24-hour prayer, 365 days a year for 132 years now. That prayer has been unbroken. In unity, we use affirmative prayer. That is, we don't pray for an outcome. We affirm spiritual truths, spiritual principles, that we are one, whole, and perfect in all ways. So we don't pray for someone to get well. We affirm their innate wholeness and that health is their natural birthright. Right now, I'm creating a workshop called Affirmative Prayer in the 21st Century, and I'll be offering that as soon as it's completed, as soon as I've completed creating it, and it's all about affirmative prayer. The 7th is let music open your heart to God. There's a famous quote from William Congreve from his poem, The Morning Bride, which was written in 1697, and I'm sure you're familiar with it. It says, music hath charms to soothe the savage breast, to soften rocks or bend the knotted oak. We may know it better as music has the power to soothe the savage soul. But it comes from that quote, from that poem. Music has the ability to open our hearts. I used to be in a church choir, so when I hear a song or a chant that we used to do, it automatically brings me back to that time and opens my heart. I'm also brought to tears every time I hear the song, Here I Am, Lord, because the lyrics resonate so deep within me. They seem to touch and be in my DNA. So allow yourself to be moved. Allow songs to open your heart to the divine. Bask in the beauty of the melody and the lyrics, and feel yourself soothed and surrounded by love and light, recognizing the divinity within you. So, path 4 is the way of the heart, bridging earth and heaven. It's seeing divinity in all things. And we do that by being in the world, but not of it. By seeing the divinity in all living things, including ourselves, and knowing and living by the truth that there is no separation, not now, not ever, and there never will be, because there is only the one. So I invite you now to close your eyes as we move into meditation. I invite you to get comfortable in your seats, put your feet flat on the floor, remove anything that may feel constricting, and just allow yourselves to breathe. You take a deep breath in, and you let it out. And with each breath you take, you feel more and more relaxed. You breathe in peace, and you breathe out conflict. You breathe in love, and you breathe out fear. And you allow yourself to relax, and breathe at a comfortable pace for you. Now, I'd like you to imagine that there's a great star of light shining above you, pouring a waterfall of love and light all over you. You allow this light to enter the top of your head, and you feel it washing through you, revealing the purity of your own heart, which expands and extends beyond you, merging with this divine light. And you see yourself totally enclosed in this incredible egg of light. Now, I will say a loving kindness blessing, and I invite you to quietly repeat it in your mind. I will say the phrase, and then you repeat it in your mind. May I be at peace. May my heart remain open. May I awaken to the light of my own true nature. May I be healed. May I be a source of healing for all beings. Now I invite you to bring loved ones to mind. See them in as much detail as possible. Imagine this loving light shining down on them and washing through them, revealing their light, the light in their heart. And again, imagine this light growing brighter and merging with divine light, enclosing them in an egg of light as we bless them. And again, I will say the phrase, and then I invite you to quietly repeat it in your mind. Thinking of our loved ones, we say, may you be at peace. May your heart remain open. May you awaken to the light of your own true nature. May you be healed. May you be a source of healing for all beings. Now I invite you to think of a person with whom you're ready to extend forgiveness. Place them in the egg of light. And again, see that light washing away all the negativity and illusion, and see them encapsulated in this brilliant white light. And again, I will say the phrase, and then quietly repeat that phrase in your mind. May you be at peace. May your heart remain open. May you awaken to the light of your own true nature. May you be healed. May you be a source of healing for all beings. Now I invite you to see our beautiful planet as it appears from outer space. A beautiful, delicate jewel spinning slowly in the starry vastness. Imagine the earth surrounded by light green continents, the blue waters, the white polar caps, the two-legged and the four-leggeds, the fish that swim and the birds that fly. See it surrounded by light. See this light entering and being absorbed by Earth's matter. Earth is a place of opposites, day and night, good and bad, up and down, male and female. And we hold the vision of Earth as wholeness and healing. And once again, I will say this phrase and quietly repeat it in your mind. May there be peace on earth. May the hearts of all people be open to themselves and to each other. May all people awaken to the light of their own true nature. May all creation be blessed and be a blessing to all that is. And now I invite you to go deeper and deeper into the silence and just listen. And now we bring to mind anyone who may be in need of prayer. for all those on our unity prayer list, on silent unity. And we extend this prayer to all of humankind. We affirm and know that there's a power and a presence within each and every individual that will see them through any challenge that they are currently experiencing on any level. We know that any condition is temporary and healing is ours always. So now I invite you to bring your consciousness back into the room where you are, back into your body. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And welcome back. And this is the time in our service where we have the opportunity to give. So I invite you to take your gifts and hold them in your hand. If it's your method to use a credit card or to use PayPal or the donate button on our website or the link that Riley puts into the live stream, just visualize that in your hands and feel the love that you are moving down from your heart, down your arms into these offerings, into these gifts. We are so blessed with the ability to give and the ability to receive. We know that God is source and God consciousness is our supply. So we open our hearts and our minds to that ever-present flow of goodness, of abundance that moves through us on all levels. And we are so grateful for this awareness. And I invite you with your mics muted to bless these gifts with me. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I choose to give and all that I am open to receive. And I am grateful. And I'd like to thank everyone who joined us through the live stream. And if you're interested in becoming or attending our services via Zoom, please feel free to message us on our Facebook page or email me at unity@unityspiritualcenter.org. Thank you.